We begin today, though, in South Africa, where concerns over the anti-immigrant sentiment continues to grow. Police in Pretoria have used rubber bullets, tear gas and water cannons to disperse crowds at an anti-immigrant march. A low-flying police helicopter was also deployed to break up a standoff between local protesters and foreigners, with both groups armed with sticks, bricks and knives. President Jacob Zuma said the protests were anti-crime, not anti-foreigner, but many unemployed South Africans accuse migrants of taking their jobs. Do tune into Arise News later this morning when we'll be discussing the issue with Luli Mngunu, the South African ambassador to Nigeria. In Egypt, dozens of Coptic Christian families have been fleeing their homes in North Sinai province after a number of recent killings by suspected Islamist militants. Refuge is being offered by the Evangelical Church in the Suez Canal city of Ismailia. The Coptic Church has condemned the attacks, saying they are aimed at dividing Egyptians. There are about 9 million Copts in the country. They've often been the victims of attacks by Islamists in recent years.
The situation there is way worse than Iraq and Syria. We've become scared of our own shadows. We look around us and behind us. We're scared that somebody might be walking behind us and shoot us. We have become afraid.
Now, Iraqi forces are continuing their offensive on western Mosul after successfully entering a neighborhood in that area of the city yesterday. The operation aims to retake the region from the so-called Islamic State. It's their last major stronghold in the country. Meanwhile, Iraq's Prime Minister announced the Air Force had carried out its first strikes against IS in neighboring Syria. The terror group was attacked in two places, both of which it had used as a base to launch recent bomb attacks on Baghdad. US President Donald Trump's planned border wall is to be built soon, way ahead of schedule. Mr. Trump made the remarks during a speech at a conservative event addressing the Conservative Political Action Congress. He vowed to always put American citizens first and build a great, great border wall. He also promised to focus on getting bad people out of this country. To quote him, the president was greeted by chants of USA, USA, USA as he made the address in Maryland. Well, staying with the White House, and Trump has stepped up his attacks on the media. Several major broadcasters and newspapers have been barred from attending an informal press briefing. The BBC, CNN, the New York Times and others were excluded from an audience with Press Secretary Sean Spicer with no reason given. It came hours after Trump delivered another attack on the media in a speech saying that fake news was the enemy of the people. Now, the Castro era is coming to an end in Cuba after Raul announced this will be his last year leading the country. Castro took over in 2006 from his brother Fidel, who died last November. He'll step aside as Cuba's president a year from now. The brothers seized power from authoritarian President Batista during the Cuban Revolution between 1953 and 1959. Despite challenges and criticisms, official figures show the Castros have ensured that Cuba has significantly lower levels of poverty and higher levels of literacy than the United States. Cubans have mixed feelings about Raul Castro's departure.
Yes, he said that this was his last year as president. But many things still have to be done here.
The economic problems have to be solved. All the things that are pending have to be resolved. Our currency, the CUP, has to have the value it should have.
I am worried about who comes. I do not worry about Raul leaving, because someday he has to. But whoever comes next, whoever replaces Raul, will he follow the same policies and do the same things? It is time for minds to change a little.
13 people have been killed after two buses crashed in eastern Argentina. 34 people were also injured in the head-on collision. The vehicles were full of passengers when they crashed into a ditch near the city of Rosario. Investigators are working to establish the cause of the accident, which happened on a level road and under good weather conditions. Both drivers were killed. The crew of a non-profit abortion boat are to be expelled from Guatemala. Authorities say the activists lied by applying for tourist visas and they will not be allowed to work in the country. The Dutch group Women on Waves offers free abortion services to women in countries where the procedure is banned. It takes women in the early stages of pregnancy out to international waters where the termination is performed. Abortion is only allowed in Guatemala when the mother's life is at risk. Well, time for a short break now, but do stay with us. We'll be right back with all the business news. And do also tune in all this weekend for an Arise special as our team in Los Angeles brings you all the glitz and glamour from the Oscars.